How's it going, guys? Should be good. Yeah. Sorry, you guys know I don't stream anymore. So every time I get this set up, things are always all over the place until we get comfortable again. Anyway, how you guys doing? What we're working on today, just for a couple hours here, is another one of these awesome playmats. I can show you guys the other two. This is for Marvel Champions, the card game. The LCG, anybody that's interested in that, there is a podcast that makes content for these guys, usually on like YouTube too, like just videos and all that stuff. But I've done a whole bunch of work for them, making custom cards and stuff. And yeah, I know I've shared a couple of them with you guys before. So this is the first one we did. This might have been like 2 years ago, to be honest with you. But there's this one, and then the second one. I actually like this one a lot too. Came out pretty good. And they're themed too, on like the boxes and all that good stuff. Hello. I don't know what your name is. Apologize. Looks like special effects over here. But anyway, so we have so the campaign boxes that come out. Usually these playmats that I get asked to do, they'll have some theming based on that, and then like you'll see, this guy looks like Hawkeye, but this guy and these dudes down here, they're like the hosts of the show, and they commissioned me to do them like as superheroes themed in the game kind of stuff and like what they like. But anyway, so we got all that, and in the first one you can see them too. Same guy here, second guy up there, and I believe there's this Canadian guy. I don't know if he's still part of the group anymore. Not that it really matters necessarily for what we're doing, but yeah. So the newest expansion that just came out was X-Men, and before that was a Spider-Man box. So we got Sabretooth up front here, Sandman over there, Wolverine, and then two of the main characters here, and then Spider-Man. I believe this one's just showcasing or like spotlighting, we'll say, some of the other characters here that are like the main hosts that aren't really shown too much. So we'll get them in there. Hey, Session Zero, wow, awesome to see you here, man. Oh, I know you like Marvel Champions, man. I know you like those LCGs. Thanks too, brother, for all like the content you're putting out there. It really helps me with Dungeon World, getting the hang of all that solo RPG goodness. Chris, welcome in. All right, so just for all my friends out there that like process, you guys know how we do this. I'm just gonna step it back. I guess let me turn this off just so you can see the inks or whatever. What is this? Oh, right, okay. I'll show you why it looks like a hot mess right now with this gross looking effect. But anyway, we got the inks. Another one of those things where I wish I coulda, shoulda probably done this before. Recorded the inks for you guys. I'm getting super lazy with recording process for you guys, so I apologize. But anyway, the inks were done, and then I talked about this, I don't know if it was that last playmat video that we did. What is it? Kurt, I want to say it's Kurt Russell, but that's the actor. Coloring with Kurt. Forget his last name. Anyway, I started implementing a thing he does for coloring, and I haven't looked back since. It's just a little extra time. If you guys know, in Clip Studio, how I like, if you guys watch any of the JESOP videos or any coloring videos that I used to do, I like to just like grab the paint bucket and just like grossly put in where the colors are going to be. I don't really work with selection flats and stuff like that. But I started doing more complex pieces like this, and even at work, at my day job, some of the there's definitely a benefit to having the flats because you can always adjust the colors, right? Like that's the point. You can always adjust. And normally I didn't do that too much. It was like I would cement decisions that I was already making and kind of just ebb and flow, but I needed to, especially in more complex pieces, being able to just select a certain thing, super important. So, coloring with, what's that? KMR. Okay, so you know his name better than I do. Anyway, so what he had a video on how to properly color, and like I've known this stuff for like proper flats. One second here, for proper flats. But like I say, normally when I'm doing color for comics and all that, it's just for me. So I don't necessarily need to have perfect flats. But then I saw him do a couple things, so I was like, let's try it. And then now that I've tried it, teach an old dog new tricks. But so I've done what I perceive that he was doing. We just do like a really gross, this is something I never really did. This is just like a layer for selections. Now with flats, which I'll show you in a second, that's how I always used to work, right? Where you just be like anything that's yellow, you click this and you get that. But what's cool about this is especially the way that we're coloring now, and I don't know if we'll get there in the 2 hours because there's a lot of shadow work still to do and possibly some highlighting, but just being able to just always be able to select Sabretooth without selecting all of the colors on Sabretooth or just Spider-Man, so that like I am already imagining in my head, I don't know if we'll do it, but like Spider-Man's here and I would like to sort of behind him soften up the line art that's on Sandman's hand so it's not just black. That way Spider-Man will pop a bit. Normally what I would do is I would just have to go in there and like either select all the colors of Spider-Man and then invert it. But now with just a selection there, I can just click it and I just have Spider-Man immediately selected. So it's just doing a little bit of work up front. And that's why I was saying these complex pieces, they definitely help. And then from there, you just duplicate that layer. And now you're doing what I would consider like the disgusting flats, right? Now you're just grabbing colors. And it doesn't matter because you just need those to be selected. And in Clip Studio, I realize I think my face is over all the layers here so you guys can't see it. But you could set them up as reference layers. In his whole video, I highly recommend How to Color Comics, I think it was. Just check that out and you'll see it. And then I can put my color over top. And right now, currently, I have just a selection layer turned on as my reference layer. So whenever I hit my wand tool, I can just click right and like, oops, let me just deselect. I'm on the wrong layer here. That's why. I can just select. Okay, I'm working on Sabretooth right now. I have a hotkey to like hide the selection, so I don't have to worry about seeing that. But it works anywhere, right? I can click whoever I want, and it'll get the whole character because that work's been done. As for the shadow, let me turn these off here. So Clip Studio works in these weird ways with their folders of like how multiply and overlay and all that stuff works. So what I already did, and that's why you can kind of see this muddy kind of color that's already there. This is sort of just like a quick, let me put this all the way up. It's like an airbrush where the shadow should be. There's a great starting point. And it's not super tight, like you can see, right? Like I didn't go all the way here. It's more sort of like forms and how things feel. You know what I mean? Like you kind of just move some stuff around. Okay, we got some ambient shadow, we'll call it, and I just knocked that down to like currently, and these are on sliders, so I'll always be, before we actually commit to like what the color is going to finally look like, that's the way I just like to leave it. So it's there, and then you guys know I like to do cell shading, right? So that's at 100%, and we just put that over top. I'm going to do another layer on top of this for another pass of shadows, but very limited, and I'll talk about that in a second. And then again with this one, I'm going to knock that down too. I don't know how far, but that's pretty much it. So what I already did is I just went through all the characters and I already put that, what's the word? I can never like remember the names of these certain shadows. Let's say occlusion or I don't know. It doesn't even matter. A quick pass of airbrush shadow. We'll keep it, we'll talk about it in layman's terms here. Chris, been watching Kurt for a long time. His courses are well. I've always wanted to just throw some money at him just for certain things like that. Like I've learned a lot just watching his stuff, and I'm lazy, man. But great quality stuff. Session I do some very limited work in GIMP, but this helps me. Oh yeah, like I can't even GIMP is hard for me to understand. Thanks. I can't like I've tried to mess around with it and I just can't. I don't know why. I think I just need to spend some time with that software. But like my day job and stuff like that, and I grew up just using Photoshop and stuff like that. So I'm just more comfortable there. Okay, so what we're gonna do, and again, something else I should point out, and I realized like normally when I was doing these last couple streams, on the right side of your guys' screen where I have those obnoxious ads for you to check out, and I don't know, sometimes people enjoy having a webcam on. It just seems like there's at least something to look at. I don't know. But normally, all those are off so you guys could see what I was doing. So please leave comments or let me know in the chat too. If this matters, if you guys would rather see that and not my face in the ads, totally understand that too. I understand there are definitely some people that watch this stuff that they try to copy what I'm doing because I do that too. And I watch people's videos like, oh, how do they do that effect? And I just want to see the layer stuff. So, maybe there's a setting I can do for that. But I have pre-selected shadow colors that you can't see right now. Doesn't matter. Let me bring this up. Maybe you can see it this way here, if you care. This is just a great starting point. Lately, I've gotten a lot more flexible on changing that. I feel like blue feels good these days, so I usually just stick with blue, but it doesn't matter because you can always change the color. So we have this here, and what I'm going to do is just duplicate that layer. Oops. Well, that's interesting. This might change up some stuff about how I can't really do. Let me try something here. If I hit multiply on that. Okay. All right. I'm gonna delete that. So weird. I have this whole folder that you guys can see set to multiply because each layer inside it, it doesn't matter. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. All right. So this layer. Oh, also I should say what's helped me with this too, because I just like sharing this stuff with you guys because I think a lot of people that watch this stuff, you know, you guys are all trying to get better at what you do too. Patreon. Go subscribe to Patrick Brown. I don't know if he's got any YouTube videos. He might. But he does a lot of like Marvel stock artwork, I'll call it, these days. I think he's like everywhere. I love his stuff. It's highly animated. It's got the nice cell shading to it. Let me open up because I downloaded a whole bunch of the stuff when I was on his Patreon. Just bear with me with 1 second. And the reason I'm bringing this up is I learned a lot of his coloring process on there. It was very similar to what I was already doing, and that's why I was interested because he pushes it to a much higher polish, and polish is one of those things I think you can spend your whole life just getting better at. Tutorials, where are we? Master reference. Do I not have tutorials here? Maybe it's just in my art folder. But anyway, yeah, so I was mimicking a lot of what he does. Some of these layers I'll show you, they're pretty much the same, but I do some things that are different just for what I enjoy doing. But highly recommend checking his stuff out. I wanted to show you why. Where is he? LMNOP. Who can we bring up here? I mean, the Omni-Man one, we always do. Let's try Venom. I don't remember what this one looks like. Oh, he did have some old ones? Alright, thanks, Chris. Because I can't remember how I saw him. I don't know if it was on Instagram at first. Okay, well, this is some... this I don't know. I mean, this is his older stuff. I think it's similar, but it's not... I know for sure this Omni-Man one, it's a little bit more simple. A little bit more in line with where I go with this stuff. With what I like to do. Okay, so if I show you here, let me just turn all this off here. Don't need to worry about the background. All right, so if you notice, it's very similar to like, you know, these cell shaded look, but he started showing me ways, and he does this in Photoshop, so it's a little different. Some of the coloring is in Clip Studio, but some of the effects, like coloring the line art, I found a way to do it that's a little different, but he has it in here. But I would just wanted to know, right? Because to me, when I see it, I'm like, oh, this is very similar to what I'm doing. How's he doing these effects? And this is the thing that I'm getting used to. And I'll show you, I was doing it in the Thanos one, where you see it's like this. It's very easy because this is what I normally do. I don't do highlights, or like for shadow work. I can just drop in chunks of shadow. The cell shading, that works for me. But whenever I would do it with highlighting, it just feels so like blunt, you know? Like it's like just, I don't know why in my brain it's like, okay, I can go from skin color to shadow. That makes sense. But when I go skin color to like just a blocked in highlight, it just felt so weird to me. But when I saw his stuff, I'm like, it doesn't feel that way. When I look at it, it feels right. So this is a guy that I was checking out, and again, I won't go through his whole method of how he works with it. It's very similar to what you'll see today, or if you watch some of the other videos that I've done lately, that we'll talk about that too. Let me bring up that second playmat just so you can see what I'm talking about. Oh, hopefully. Okay, so on Thanos, so you can see it's the same. See, like coloring the line art and stuff like that, like softening it up, and you can see I'm kind of messing around with right here. You see how the shading, how I'm dropping in the blocked highlight. It's taken time to get used to it. I'm getting more comfortable with it, with how it kind of looks. But sometimes it just feels like out of place. But, you know, what are you going to do there? Just let my cat out. All right, let's get some work done. Anyway, so this second pass for shadow, this right here is... So how I've been coloring lately... it would just be one layer of shadow because I don't want to spend too much time on this stuff. You know, I've got lots of art to make, and I don't like getting precious about specific pieces too much because then like nothing gets done. You're just like making really good looking pieces, which is, you know, great. But at the same time, it just, you guys know me, right? New and shiny, but we always got to keep moving on to the next thing. So just that layer, right? So the whole point of this one for me, the way I apply it, is that it's like, hopefully that looks a little better, where we've got like, it's a little darker in the palm of his hand, but what it's doing is it's popping off of his chest, right? Because when I didn't have that there, you see it's all the same tone. And unless I do something, the more you zoom out, it all just starts looking like a block of the same kind of thing. So just putting one pass there, it's subtle, but it definitely you know, gives it some weight. And I don't want to use this everywhere, like over the top, but definitely just putting it in some places will help just sell some of these forms a little bit. See how it's like pushing that back a little bit? I don't want to over render that stuff. Just putting it mostly in, what's a good way of saying it? It's not a, it wouldn't be a, I guess it could be a core shadow, but I guess it'd be like the darkest things. Like, this is the way I remembered it. If you look at your lips, right, your shadow is going to go towards the what's the word? I was going to say the crest, but that's not it. The crease in your cheek, right? But right at the point, right at the furthest point where it gets the darkest, that's what you're looking for. Like pieces like that all over the object that you're trying to do, right? So like an example could be, you know, we're going to do his nostril. Not all under here. You could, but I don't want to go nuts. This is just something that you're kind of adding. Maybe I'll put a little bit over here just to make that fold over the eye look a little bit better. Maybe we'll put a little chunk under that. And maybe since everything's getting pinched right here, we can put it right there. That kind of stuff. I apologize if you hear my son screaming in the background. He's in his screaming phase, so. And we could put like, you know, just some line effect like that, just to push the mouth back a little bit further. Same with the tongue, this kind of stuff. Put it down here. And I do like to use like the lasso tool. A lot of the times, like I'm getting more comfortable with this. Some of the stuff I've been doing at work, I can't really show you guys on YouTube here, but or maybe I could. I'm not sure. I haven't asked. But I've been doing this cool stuff. It's a different way that I've normally worked, and I'm doing some like cartoony sort of stuff at work, so it's a little easier to apply. But for shadows, right? Like let's say it's just a figure. I'll draw like a shape, like a giant shape, we'll say, to go like down the legs, and so the whole thing's covered in shadow, and then I'll just start pulling out the light, I guess, which is I think a normal way to paint, but it's sped up a lot. And I did it a little bit with. Hey brother, how's it going, man? Welcome. Glad to see you here. So like his arm here, if you kind of look, it's still there. Like I just went like this kind of path. I went like this around the bicep, nailed it in. All down here on the side, nailed that in. And you can see there's this line that goes like this straight down, right? That's all the same thing. And then all I do is I go over top and add like a little bit more, or I erase and add from here and there. And what it does is it just makes it so that it's quicker, which is always great, but it's helping, what's it called, the shadow shape make more sense to me anyway across the object. And then I can just sort of manipulate it, because sometimes, or what I used to do, right, or I guess you can kind of say I'm doing it now too, is just piece by piece drawing in the shadow. And sometimes like it's fine, it works, but the shape can get lost in there, you know. And then I don't know if you guys have ever tried to draw light and shadow, and you get to that point where you're like, you know, maybe things aren't lining up anymore. You're like, I'm not quite sure like how far down that shadow might go, that kind of stuff. So anyway, see, so we can push that in there like that. It's just subtle stuff that, like, honestly, you don't need it, but it just adds like a little, you know, little something something. Actually, Zero, I don't know if you're still in here, but if you are, I'm just gonna ask you a question. Just let me know if you're here. I got a question about LCGs. You know, I like it. talking LCGs with people. Anybody else in the chat, or I guess if you're watching the recording, anybody play this game, Marvel Champions? It's good stuff. All right, we'll block in just a little bit here. Just again, I'm just trying to push this stuff back to recede and shadow. Nothing nuts. Don't want to get too crazy. Just want to have some stuff in here just to make it visually interesting. Oh, you're here, sick. Okay, so if anybody doesn't know too, like, you know, like it's so weird. I don't post on YouTube as much anymore, right? Like I do a lot of artwork on my own. The time to do this isn't like it used to be. Now that I've got a son, right? So it's and then I've got another one coming in December. We'll see, probably earlier. So I don't have a lot of time. And that's how I started getting into solo role playing games. Not to get into a whole story about that, but I got into solo board games. I've talked about it too on streams of like Mage Knight, Gloomhaven, these kinds of things. But once I found that I was able to play like tabletop role playing games like Dungeons and Dragons by yourself and all that stuff, that opened up a whole Pandora's box for me. Where it's some of the best gaming stuff I've had in a long time, but it gave me something that I could do in my downtime. So it's not just always art and video games, because like I'm on a computer all day. I want to get off of that stuff. Anyway, so it's like the content I'm making isn't even remotely like the stuff I do now. It's not just all artwork like it used to be. Everything used to be about like how do you get better, how do you all this stuff. But anyway, my question. Hey Darren, welcome brother. The legends, I know. My question was this for Session 0. So, X-Men box set just came out for Champs. I've been digging it. I've been playing a lot. You know, it's fun. But over where my setup is here with my games, this is the stacks of boxes of my priority of how I enjoy them. I've got all three, right? Like, I'm sure you do because you keep talking about it on your channel. So Champs is at the top because it's so easy to play. You know, you get 30 minutes to an hour at most. And then it goes Arkham, then it goes Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings I enjoy, but it's like, it's tough. You got to really deck build, and I'm not about that right now. Maybe I get in the mindset of it sometimes, but just not there. Anyway, my question was more for Arkham. So do you play that Arkham? Do you play that solo? Or do you play that with people? I'm always interested in talking to people that play Arkham solo. It's something I wish I could play more of, but it's different, right? With Champs, it's like you could just make something and play. You know what I mean? You can just throw something. It's not a campaign, you know, pick up and play. But yeah. What's that there? Number 2 is, oh yeah, man, thanks. 18, that's disgusting. 16, I can't even, I know. I remember, trust me, I remember things people say before Alexander was born too. Whoops. And I remember what you said. So some other people said it too. It goes by quick, and, you know, having it, the hardest part for me is like always having to like, because I work at home now too, right? So it's like, I get to see him, which is fantastic. I don't want to make it sound like I'm, you know, not being grateful for that, but it's like I get sad because he always asks me if hey, can you play with me, you know, and I'm walking by and it's like, oh man, I gotta work. I wish I didn't have to work so I could just play with you, because I know it's not gonna last, right? Eventually they're gonna stop asking to play, and you're like, but now I have all the time in the world, I want to play and you're not here. It's more rewarding, eh? Really? So like, do you find that do you net deck a lot? Do you like custom build your stuff? My problem right now, again, going along with the time stuff, was I feel like I just net deck too much, and I'd like to be able to do a little bit more making my own stuff just for fun. I don't know. Like, do you play? I've tried two-handed Arkham. It's been a little while though. I'm just not sure which. I want to, like, I'm looking at it and it's Halloween. You know what I mean? So it just feels like I just call all of October Halloween. So I want to, like, I see it every time I look over. I'm like, ooh, yeah, I want to get in those Mythos packs and just get in there, just play a little bit. So the itch is there. So I know it's going to happen sooner or later. I guess it's more just if you have any tips, or I don't know. I don't even really know what I'm asking, which isn't good. I just whenever I get giddy when somebody's in here that I know potentially could be playing solo, and it's like, oh yeah, okay, tell me, how are you doing it? How you staying jazzed and all that stuff. Now, one of the things I remember I was looking at, because I just can't wrap, like, I don't play it enough. Like champs, I could build a deck. I don't even know if it'll be good, but I could build one, and I know what I need to do. I feel like Arkham, as much as I love it, I haven't cracked that code. Like, I know what you need to do to win, but it's like building a custom deck. And like you're saying with solo too, it's like I don't even know. There's so much extra that you got to keep track of if you got no way of gathering clues. Like, you're like, why even play? And if you're playing solo, it's, so I always wonder, like, two-handed, but then I know it increases time, so it's like this back and forth thing. I don't know. I'm all over the place right now. I custom build my decks, and I'm in an egg. So days are, oh my god. So how do you tweak it? Maybe that's a good direction. How do you like? I know with champs, one of the things you could do, there's like skirmish mode, and like I'll put up like claw or something, and just try to grind them down or just get the flow. Sometimes like what would you do that in Magic the Gathering, where it's you build your deck, shuffle it up. You're not playing against anybody, but you just do some test draws, just to see what's kind of coming, but you got to test it against stuff. So like how do you test it out? Because the other thing, that's what I was trying to say, that I found interesting, and it started to help me. This would have been, how long ago did I play Arkham? Yikes. Maybe 6 months ago, maybe a little more. I forget whose video it was that I saw, and they were saying it's like this reverse build, and it kind of like blew my mind a little bit. Was trying to get, like, I don't know what the XP number is. Let's say 15. I'm just pulling it out. So you build a like the end deck if you had it all right. 15 XP, we'll say, so it's all there, and then you reverse build. And I got those starter packs. I don't know what they're called. It could have just been that, where it felt like they'd already did that, and I saw that, and I was like, oh, okay. Like, it was just, I don't know, pieces clicking together, and it's just a different way to play a card game that I'm used to. Like, I'm coming from Magic, right? So it's Magic and sideboard, so it's felt a little bit like that. So you do yourself, welcome in. Still waiting on you to make a JESOP King print the book, dude. I know. I need to put some other, like, I have like the images on the top right that you guys are getting spammed with, right? And I had to check JESOPKing.com to make sure it was still up, and I guess I forwarded it at some point to Webtoons. I didn't even know I did that. And I was like, oh my gosh, I gotta put some other stuff on there. Maybe one day we'll get back to it, guys. I know, people keep bugging me for it, and I appreciate it. It's a good thing to be bugged about. But right now, like, for the real talk for you guys, like, it's work. How do I make more money? Because I gotta support the family, right? You gotta do the guy thing. So there's that, and then it's like, in the downtime, what do you do? And I'm like, well, I don't. Like, JESOP King, it's one of those things, right? Like, I think a lot of us might struggle with this, or if not, hopefully one day you'll be able to. It's a personal project, so it's not even. It might make money, but it's not like. I mean, I guess at one point it could be the drive, but right now it's not. And so it's like I can take on other people's work or jobs and stuff like that they need help with, and I can help them with their project, and I can get paid, and it works that way. And then it gives me the free time to, just do my own thing, such as play card games and play Dungeons and Dragons by myself. And that feels more interesting than... That's not so funny. Anyway, that's where my headspace is. That's why there's no content. I'm busy playing card games and role-playing games. Yikes. Anyway, okay, so Sabretooth, just so you guys know, he's done. I'm going to do highlights, but not right now. I'm going to do that after I do all the shadow. I just like working that way. I don't like doing piecemeal necessarily. Anyway, so I hope you guys kind of saw what I was doing there. Actually, I just realized if I'm going to have the purple here, I should definitely have the purple down here. But what we'll do, right, is we're going to bring this sucker back transparent. I'm just going to cut out some light, just a little bit, just so it's not just a boring. Maybe that doesn't actually look that good. Alright, we're going to keep it flat. It looks better, I think. Yeah. Once the highlights are on here, right? Like, just as an example, I'll have to do it on a separate layer here. It would look something like this. You guys can't see this, I apologize. So the blending mode, I think, gosh, is it add glow? Or is it screen? I think it's add glow. Hold on. Let me just get like, I don't know, some picture I've done. Yeah, okay. There we go. Some more, I think this was an Iron Sworn character, actually. So we got our inks. Yeah, okay. What is the highlight layer? Okay, it's not multiply. Add glow. That's what we want. Okay. Yeah, so we go add glow, and I've got like, it's like a, I'll bring it up so you guys can see it. Like this yellowy baby poop brown. Like, what a wonderful way to describe a color, huh? Baby poop. No, there we go. And then I would just like, I don't know, like let's say it's, this is the thing I was talking about where it's like it took me a little while to get used to it. Right. This is just for now, just a quick thing just to show you guys. Because I don't think we'll get to it in the video, but again, I want to help my fellow art peeps out there. Right, so you're just painting it in, like where the light would hit, and you get to do some fun shapes, all that fun stuff, right? We'll just say it's right there, and we'll put on the tongue. Yeah, we'll do the nose too. Right, so you get it all there, and then what you would do is you just put a clipping mask on there, and then just grab you're going to knock the opacity down. That's the trick that I never really understood. I was always like, it's just too intense. You just bring it down, right? Like even like that looks good, and then once it's on the mask, just grab our eraser and make it soft. This almost is like the cut and grad technique from the 90s, but in a much different way. That method, you would make like a marquee selection and then airbrush in the highlight. This is like backwards, I guess. Then you can just sort of like, fade it out in certain spots so it doesn't just feel so like, I'll call garish. I don't know if that's the right word. Right, but you can paint it back on the skin. And why it's so cool using a clipping mask, guys, is like, just say you're like, yeah, this looks cool, but I really want like it to, I don't know, pop up here or whatever. It doesn't matter the color you pick, right? Like I can go back to white, whoops, and bring in the airbrush again with any color. It doesn't matter, and you can just paint it back in. See that? Because all you're doing is you're changing the mask. So you can go transparent, cool. Then you can flip it back to a color, and you can play around with that. So it's what we might call in the business, what's it called? Non-destructive art. Actually, looks kind of cool. And we're not even there yet. But again, this is one of those things you can just keep pushing. You just keep adding highlights to it, right? And then what I would do, let's say, is I'd make another layer, add glow, and just rinse repeat. So it's like, where's the brightest stuff? Maybe he's got like some slick latex kind of. I don't know why you'd be wearing latex. What am I talking about? Yeah, so we're clipping, and we're going to. Whoops. Actually, you don't even need the eraser. My process is always so backwards. So if I grab the the airbrush, if I just select, is my face covering that up? No. So here you can see the color, and then I can go down to. Whoops. I can go to transparency, and that'll erase it too. So long as you got the right tool. Right? And I'm only working on the mask, so if I wanted to just throw in a color, it'll come back. Right? But you can just do stuff like that. Maybe just fade that a little bit. Again, just play with that opacity. See what I'm saying? Like, it's just a quick, subtle thing. But what it'll do is it'll make everything look super shiny, which I know some people don't like. Some people don't like that stuff. Anyway, I just want to put that out there so you guys have context for whatever you're working on, so you can do it. All right, let's jump over to who do we want to do next? I'll let you guys pick the next one. Do we want to do Sandman, Spider-Man, Wolverine, or the cast from the podcast? I'll let you guys pick who we'll do the shadows on next. Let me catch up with you guys. Darren, John, I'm doing great, man. Thanks. I know, I miss making the videos, and I know you talk about it often. I wish I could. It's not even that I wish I could do these more often, because if I did, like, I would just have to stop doing hobbies, and I don't want to do that. I'm selfish. Okay, yeah. Send the sketch over, man. I'd love to see it. You'll test different scenarios. Midnight Mask is a pretty good tester. Oh, really? Okay, I never thought about that. Any scenario that tests your ability to move around. Okay, all right. You know what? I might see. The thing is, I'd say that I find about Arkham, and I could be wrong because I've got like a large chunk of cards for it, but I don't have that comfortability like I do with Champs. So it's like in Champs I could put some jank together, and if it doesn't do well, like it doesn't matter. I could tighten it up, or I could just net deck. Right? It's not even about that. The gameplay is fun for me. For like a standalone, sit down and just do it. Arkham is a campaign, so I feel like more of your options matter. I remember going through Dunwich, and I put together what I thought was pretty good. I read some articles online, some blog posts, some videos of like, make sure you do this and that if you're running solo, and here's some good solo characters. It might have been Ashcan Pete that I was running, or I forget. Or Zoe. I think it might have been Zoe. She just seemed really cool to me. Anyway, so I picked them, and I was like, okay, here's a list. I think what helps is when a lot of people go like, okay, your deck should have like, I'm going to use Marvel speak because I can't remember what it is in Arkham, or it's like, okay, you need 2 allies, you need this many weapons, this many ways to get clues and stuff. So I did that, and then after the first scenario, I think I got a couple XP, and I was like, I don't know what to do. Do I just upgrade what I have? And I just quickly looked through some cards, and I'm like, well, this seems cool. Anyway, by the third or fourth scenario, it was just like I felt like I was just adding stuff to the deck based on what I just went through because I didn't know what was coming up, and I don't think you should necessarily know that, but it was like I was just reacting. It didn't feel like I was in control, which I guess might play to the theme of the game. I don't know. But anyway, just being able to like plan where the point, like what was the point of what I built, right, and then doing it that way. But I like what you're saying. I think I might try that out because it gives you that little quick rundown of what to expect from your deck. Do you normally play one like true solo, or do you play two-handed? John, do you still do critiques? I'm gonna say no, just because I don't have a lot of time, and I really gotta do this, and I'm already rambling way too much. But you could send something to me over Facebook, man. I can get back to you as soon as I could. Studio. I was literally watching some vids from 10 years ago on your last night. Oh, really? Oh, well, thank you so much, man. I do appreciate that. I'm glad I was able to help so many people. I feel like the way I speak about this stuff now, it just sounds like it was all one day, and it's all gone now, guys. It's all... It's all sad now. Remember the good old days? Alright, what? Alright, I'm going to do Sandman then, because it's another villain, and he's cool. Alright, so I did that gross core shadow kind of thing everywhere. I'm doing super basic lighting, lit from the top. I'm going to turn that off. Make a new layer, grammar shadow. Alright, now, if I did it right, I think I made the fist one selection, and then everything else another. So I'm just going to start with the fist. Actually, this will be cool. I can show you guys what I was talking about before. Here, let me hide that. Kind of the new way that I've been shading. The new way. Okay, thanks, brother. It's not matter how much or when. It's just okay. No, I do appreciate it. Like I say, I'm glad I'm able to help anybody. Anybody watching this is. Thanks for sticking around. Appreciate it. Okay, so I've just been doing like these. Like a shape, like boom, there you go. Okay, cool. So I was saying, if you work in like a simpler style, like a cartoon, like that kind of stuff can, these kind of shadows can work a lot better. Yeah, so we'll just go here. Doesn't have to be perfect. I know that all the lines here are going to be a little bit more complex shapes, but it's just that. Okay, so like that should work. If I zoom out, like okay, the lighting works. Now we get to do the fun stuff. This is like. And I've been using a lot of the lasso lately. It just feels cool. Sorry, my chair's so creaky too. I mean, only last year, so does it feel like I'm actually ready for creating comics? Yeah, dude. Like, I don't know, just so much work, you know, so much effort. I know it'll be. I know it's worth it. I guess my just opinions on like I want to say comics and stuff like that, or just like what I'm doing these days. I enjoy working on comics. Like doing this. When was the last time I ever drew like Sabretooth, man? Like I don't think I've ever drawn Sabretooth, but like he was a lot of fun, man. A lot of fun. And Spider Man, I draw some Spider Man, but I'm fortunate and grateful that like okay, so I this is a game I really enjoy playing, so it's like I'm double dipping here, right? Like I get to create something that sometimes I get these sent back to me too, so I get to while I'm playing, this is a playmat I can use, which is great. But just seeing other people being able to enjoy this stuff too is cool. And trust me, like I enjoy superheroes. I think I enjoy just drawing them more than actual comic book work. You know what I mean? Like drawing pinups and stuff like that. I get more enjoyment out of that than telling a comic book story. Just the amount of time investment. I think I can't. It's very hard for me to just stay in comic book storytelling mode. Because I've said it before, I've heard other people talk about it, right? Like being a comic book artist is different than being any other kind of artist. It's a storytelling job, right? And I enjoy telling stories, but as time goes on, it just cements the reality that like what I enjoy is telling stories through pinups or just making cool, what I consider cool drawings. You know what I mean? And that has to definitely play into why I don't really do JESOP or anything anymore. And also like the way life's panned out, I got a really really cool job. It's in video games and stuff like that. I don't get to draw this kind of stuff very often, if ever. So that's why I don't want to give this stuff up because this lets me relive all this stuff that I loved when I was growing up as a kid, redrawing all this superhero stuff, you know. But I really enjoy. That's the thing too. Like if I didn't have my job where I work at now, I often think I would probably push heavily into trying to get a comic book job just because it would satiate some of that stuff. But at the same time, I hear so many horror stories from people where it's like the field just doesn't even sound enjoyable anymore. Also, I just want to say, did you guys see kind of if you were watching it all, did you kind of see how I molded this shape out of just that coarse shadow that we dropped down? I'm going to do it for the rest of it, but I hope that sort of illustrated a little bit how I'm shading these days. It just feels, I want to say, I don't know, I get more interesting shapes out of it this way, I feel. Something for you guys to try out too. And you don't have to use a lasso tool. You could use like a paintbrush or whatever you want to use. You know? Okay. Let me catch up to you guys too. Okay, so session now you play true solo only. 2 decks is too much. Okay, that's fair. Also do the build on 19 XP. Okay, there you go. Agonize so much. Okay, do you know of any like I want to say a YouTube video or something that anybody has that can kind of like help with this? Because I know there's certain investigators that play better as solo. Somebody come from Champs and like even Lord of the Rings, it's like, but I don't like, and it could just be that's the way the game is, you know. I don't want to just have to go, all right, well, this is the pool of characters I can only pick because it's easier. If I like the flavor of somebody, I'd want to play that, but I know each character, or I assume they need like a certain build to do well. So I don't know. You know what I should do now that I'm talking about it out loud with you? I feel like I should just do probably like what everybody recommends, or I hear often with like LCGs is even though I have a giant pool of cards, it's like don't use them. Just stick with we'll say the release. Sort of like Champs, I guess, right? Like I've been playing Champs since it came out, so my card knowledge is a little bit better. Maybe I should just do that. Go back to Dunwich again and just stick with that. Because I was getting expansions as they were coming out. Or no, sorry, not as they were coming out. The only one that I got as it was coming out was I think Dream Eaters and might have been Dream Eaters and another one. Oh, I forget the name of it. But yeah, it's anyway all over the place. Oh, Hamo says hi. Hey, hope you guys are doing well too. Glad you guys are still hanging out, man. So you 7, are you still at the game studio? Yeah, I am. I Dream Interactive. Still there. We're still doing great. Some people ask too, like, what is it that I do there? It's right now, we're kind of, I don't want to say in a flux, but we're just kind of testing the waters out. So we're kind of experimenting with some game ideas. So I get to actually, the last, I don't know what it's been, a month and a half. It's been really fun, dude. Like, I'm able to just draw some fun stuff. I don't normally get to do that. Normally it's the creative window, we'll say, for like the art side. It's very short. Um, you know, pros and cons to it. Like I'm not oblivious to the business side of it, and I've shared it with you guys too. And this isn't like it's a negative for sure, but it's not like a negative as in like, oh god, like it's never gonna work out or nothing like that. But I'm the only like artist that we have. One other guy who's awesome too. He's more of a tech artist though, and I mean, good ideas can come from anybody. You don't have to be an artist for that. So that's great. But like whenever we start messing around with like internal designs and stuff like that, it stinks a little bit because like I know the value of having more artists, like what artists provide or can possibly provide. Not that they're the answer, but some artists they just like to tell me what to do and I'll do it and I'll knock it out of the park. Some people are idea people, right? But anyway, it would be sweet if we had more artists, just so that like I could chat with them. It would help come up with some cooler ideas and stuff like that. Because I can only come up with so much, and who knows if any of my ideas like actually get people excited to do stuff. Anyway, so we're doing a lot of the concept art there, and it's been fun, man. Because like I keep saying, I don't often get to do that, so it's been great. But normally it's like UI that I'll do, which I've started to get more of an appreciation for it because like how long have I been there? I think I've been there almost 10 years or maybe 10 years by now, and most of the time it's UI stuff that I have to do. So it's sort of like because of the job I had to learn that stuff, and that's sort of why I was going into the. I don't even know if comics is my thing anymore because I never would have been experienced in a UI if I never got this job. So it's like a window that opened up, and it's interesting. There's definitely I'm not even remotely close to the guy, to make like the best UI stuff at all. It's a constant learning process, but it's fun. It's got its perks. Again, it circles back into like why I need to keep doing this kind of stuff because this is like my jam drawing, right? If I had to describe to somebody what it is that I love to do, it would be, give me a piece of printer paper and a Bic pen. Not even a pencil, man. Just give me a nice Bic. And as awesome as, working and UI and all that stuff can be, it's not the same. I think everybody has like a little something that they need to do. That's just your thing. Whether it's a hobby or whatever. Everybody's got something you got to go back to. And for me, it's like, it's always been drawing while I was at school, scribbling on paper and stuff like that. Not necessarily even comics. And I know this has been brought up before. There's people that have been in here that we've talked to, or friends that I know too, that all they would do is draw comic book pages or just be absorbed by comics. And I don't mean necessarily just reading them, I mean like making them. Because there's a difference between just reading stuff, because that could be the thing you're into, is just reading comic stories, right? But that's different than a calling to make comics, I think. So, anyway, I'm all over the place. Chris, I wish I could find someone with your art style to collaborate with on my comic. Well, thank you, man. I feel like it's just me doing everything on the book, and it's just going to take. Yeah, I hear you on that, man. It's tough when it's just you. Do you have like a budget and stuff, or is this just something like pie in the sky sort of thing? I'm only asking because, like, there's got to be somebody out there that you could find if you had the money. It's gotta be. Zero. My favorite channel is playing board games. Playing board games. Playing board games. Give me a second. Let's open up that. Yeah. YouTube. YouTube. Playing board games. Let's see what we got. Playing board games. I don't know if I've ever seen this channel. Oh, wait. The thumbnails look really familiar. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna thank you so much. I'm gonna keep that up because I see a lot of Arkham, which is great. What were you saying about that? They have a ton of Arkham. Okay, all right. And you think a lot of that has what's it called? Do they have like I don't want to say deck building tips and stuff, but or is it more just like you learn a lot through the game from them, and that helps you just playing going forward? Which one's your favorite LCG? If you had to pick just one, I know. Was that remote work? Hey, no problem. Take it easy, buddy. Totally Comics is still my main hobby. I design illustration for T-shirts for my day job. Sometimes license stuff from Marvel. Yeah, yeah, I hear you. And sometimes that's all you need, right? Like, I don't know. If I'm able to draw like a superhero every now and then, like I'll be happy. Like at work, like to be fair, guys, like and not that you guys don't know this already, but like concept work, concept design is not even remotely close to the same as illustration work. I'll be right back. Family's heading out. Give me 1 second. I'll be. Okay, sorry about that, guys. All right, let me catch up. Sorry, I forget what we were talking about too. I just left and blanked. Chris, I have a rate in mind. Yes, I did color. Okay. All right, no, that's good. That's good. Your strength ratio too. I remember. somebody I still look up to. I love his work and stuff. Is Jersey Drozd. And I remember in one of his podcasts he had, man, this is going back a while, the Art and Story podcast. I remember him saying in so many words, it was like, I don't know if it's still true for him now, but it was just one of those that like it rings true to me still today. Of it was like comic books take so much work to like do that by the time you're done, like you just look at the finish line, you're like, oh, so close, you know. And then when you're done, it's like, oh, okay, you know what? I not that you're done making comics, but like, you know, I'm taking a break. But you get such a rush and a high when you complete it, let alone if it gets printed and all that stuff. And he was saying like, wish you could just bottle that, and then as you're working on your comic book, you could just sip on that, you know, because inevitably you're gonna sit down and you're gonna go, okay, let's start the next one. And just rinse, repeat, never ends. Just because it's so much work, man. I don't know of very many art things. Like concept art, I guess could be pretty high up there too, because like so much of it gets tossed or people don't even see it because it's design, it's not illustration, right? Like you're doing concept art because there's going to be a phase where you polish it up and turn it into something, no matter what it looks like, but you have to produce so much of it. Anyway, do you guys, I don't know, do you guys dig that shadow method here that I was showing you, where you just kind of, you put that core one in there and then you just sort of scratch it out? Collectibles, even though, as you were saying about UI and not drawing all the time, sometimes my day is just technical things like making PDF spec sheets. And how does that feel? Is it nice? Just getting like a little change or what? Zero Champions is my favorite right now because the Mutant Genesis and Scarlet Keys is on the, man, I'm so behind. Arkham. I love, see, damn it. What did you say too? You commented with a link to one of their playlists, but it looked like it was deleted. Oh, yeah, I don't know why. I wish I could. There's certain settings on here, guys. Like people do, like I've had people send the, what is it called? Super chats or whatever they're called on YouTube. I don't know where that money goes, so, you know, don't send money. I don't see it. Links, I don't know why they don't show up, and it filters something else out. I've gone through my editing and stuff, and it's not there. So I don't know if there's, I think it's just I'm not familiar with YouTube anymore. It's been so long. I gotta get recommitted to this stuff. How to win Arkham Horror playlist. Okay, thank you. I'm just going to go check that right now. New to Arkham Horror. Okay. Oh wow. Okay. I like a playlist that's called that. Is the whole playlist? What'd you call it? You said it was how to win. Understanding tempo. Okay, all right, no, perfect. Thank you so much. I think this is gonna be on my. I'll be listening to this in the background for the rest of the day. I like it. Thank you, sir. Like I say, man, like I love Arkham. I love playing it. I don't have a lot of table space, right? So I've had to come up with some like jerry-rigged stuff. But I love it. I have a giant BCW long box. You know, the ones that got the 4 rows in there. I'm pretty sure I'd have to open it back up. I'm pretty sure it's like topped off. Just like Champs is getting there too. It's already in 2 boxes. And you're talking about Scarlet Keys, and it's like I know there's that. Innsmouth, I got the first box that comes out. I think I played it, but I don't remember anything. It's been a while. And it's like, I know, I just want Cthulhu in the game. You know, I'm that guy. And then knowing that, what the hell is the name of it? Dagon, I believe, I didn't play it all the way through, is in that one. I was like, it just sounds so sick to me. I want to play that. So it's like, I know getting back into it, I want to. And I'm one of those guys that, it's like even the Arctic one. Was it the Mountains of Madness? Is that the one, or am I mixing it up? Something like that? I don't have that either. I'm just a completionist with this stuff. It's a problem. It's a problem right now, man. I've done 6 issues in 6 years, so you know. All right, yeah, that's on par with my standard. Yeah, hell, man. See, that's the thing. We all have to have a Will Robson in our life to help us at the end to fix our inabilities. Good stuff. Oh, so check this out here, guys, real quick. So you see how I have that shadow in there, and then it just goes away from this one. This is what I was talking about, like when you lower the opacity on these things. things will change, but you can kind of see how it helps just give it some form. All right, let's turn that one back off. Okay, so now we're going to do the rest of Le Sandman. All right, let's turn off our selection. We're going to get back in there. So I think what I'm going to do, actually, is I'm going to do the exact same method, because it just, I like the way it looks. Especially with the shadow format, I guess we'll call it, how I'm approaching it. Works really well with like rocks and textures and stuff, like his hands and all that. When you work with like simple chunky shapes like the human body, it's a little different. So we'll see how it goes there. Fariza, how's it going, Fariza? I like that. It's a good name, man. Thank you, I appreciate that. See you, Chris. Thanks for popping in, man. Especially Sabretooth just followed. Oh, thank you, sir. I'm assuming. Appreciate that very much. And if you followed off Twitter, followed my Twitter. I thought you were saying you came in from Twitter. I was like, it was a good old Donald Delay sharing me again. Wonderful man. Wonderful man. All right. So what I think we're gonna do, I'm just gonna do a gross. Whoosh, cover it all in shadow. Then we're going to erase. I know there's gonna be some light back here. I don't want too much. I think that's fine, and we'll just start cutting out some of the shape there. What else are you guys saying there? Sorry. Session 0. Edge of Earth. That's it. Thank you. Is the Arctic campaign and Innsmouth. What? And Innsmouth has some big maps. Damn it. Okay. You know what? It's worth it though. I have this setup. I don't know if I showed you guys, because it's like I don't want to dilute this channel. This is just an art channel. You know what I mean? I always debate starting like a second one. See you later, studio. Have a great day, man. Thanks for all the chat too. I always like, do I do a second channel just for fun to talk about like the other hobby stuff I like, card games and RPGs and stuff. But because I don't have a lot of space, I went to the dollar store. I don't know if I saw somebody do something similar to this, but they had like doesn't matter. I went to the dollar store and you get like foam core there. It's very cheap. It's like $1 or $2 each. I just had 2 of them. Hot glued them together so it's like thicker, and then I could put that like on my table, so I can still get some table space, but I could put the map or whatever the hell is going on, whatever game I'm playing, and I could put it there and get the more space. But the cool part is, especially with kids, I think a lot of like parents, they might be like me, you want to be able to pause the game. I know when Alexander was super young, it was like I just had to be like, okay, he's up, I gotta go get him, for better or for worse. So being able to just pause it, we'll say, was awesome. So I can just have it set up there, and whenever I'm able to get back to it, and I actually keep a lot of RPG stuff on there too. Oops, I thought I had that there. But anyway, that's what I was saying. I have that for Arkham, especially with the maps and all that, because they can be, and I totally know what you're saying there, Session. We're just like, oh my goodness, sometimes it can just get out of hand. Even to the point where I'm like, on Etsy, I don't know if what your setup is, like what you've been organizing your game with and stuff like that, but you always see on Etsy, people got those like acrylic counters. They look like this. Like they're basically 2 arrows. Those look so slick. They've always been on my, maybe I should get list. Right now I'm using like just pieces of paper. Because some of those maps, man, like, yeah. That's one thing I like and I don't like about that game. We're going to zoom out in a second here just to see how this lighting is feeling. Right, that. What if we darken that? Maybe. I don't know. Maybe we push this whole hand back like that. That might be better. And then this whole arm I'm going to really knock back. There's like some funkiness kind of going on there. Sure. We'll run with this and we'll see how she goes, eh? We'll get like a little some trap action. we'll do it. You gotta do the cast shadow, right? Gotta have the head. Although that looks a little weird. We'll have to tighten that up. Again, all this is placements of shadows. This how do I try to think in my head of better ways to articulate this stuff so you guys know what I'm saying. I stutter like an idiot, so it's hard for me to stay on one topic to like sort of like nail it home. So I'll just resort to like basic speak. Use lines here, right? If let me open up the inks and I'll show you what I'm talking about, just to help articulate this for you guys as well. For the art friends that like this stuff. I don't normally do this, but like the more and more I draw stuff like this, it just makes it more, yeah. Let's keep doing that. So this is the line art that y'all know, right? Nothing different. But what I started doing a little while ago, I don't know. Let me just turn a whole bunch of crap off here, and then we'll sort of like build it up, right? So this is how I would normally do things: is like this pressure sensitive brush. You go through everything, and 7 or 8 times out of 10, that's all you need. And then you color over, especially if you're coloring or you're getting somebody to color it, it just pops because color is always the thing that's going to make it separate it from everything else. You can have some really sick black and white inks, the shadows and rendering and all that. And I mean, specifically for comics, I guess that matters. But like when it's illustration, personally, I mean, it definitely helps, but you can still achieve that black look with color. So it's like, sometimes it's wasted effort, in my opinion. But when you're inking it, it feels so good to do it. So it's like this in between. But anyway, this layer right here, this is the one that I've been doing a lot with the superhero stuff or whatever. It's not even a lot anymore, right? Like it's kind of gross. Like it's just like I literally draw it like this. If I can show you at the camera, it's like you just sort of scratch down in the directions you're going. Sometimes it's smooth motions, but it's like just like you're almost like with a brush and you're kind of like flicking the lines around. That's why you'll see. Like it gets in here it's in a monochromatic layer too, so it's but you get this kind of stuff, this cool energy, right? So I'll go through the whole piece, and you can see it even here on Sandman, and it's so difficult to not want to just go in with line weights first and then do that, but I find the more that I just put the shadows in now, man, and then work around it. I think I've seen David Finch work this way, Jim Lee, I've seen him do his stuff like that, and I don't know if it's just traditional pencilers that feel comfortable working this way, because I know when I would do penciling, when it would come time for shadows, it's like you're almost like just sort of like lightly putting them in with gray, so it's similar. Anyway, so once you have that, then you can go in and do all your line weights over top. And why it's cool, right? Like just putting this layer, and I mean I know it looks like a giant jump. It's really not, but with those shadows already in there, let me find like a really gross spot. Like this whole arm is. You see how it's like there's too many open lines and stuff. I don't know if. Yeah. Okay. So you just go in over top of that, and you start to finesse the shadows. So check up right here. Like this shadow line comes up here, and this is the fur on Sabretooth's like upper pecs, right here. Look at that. Like it's not even connected and stuff, but that's where you just make that layer and you clean it up. I mean, it might not look clean. There's like gaps there. Like I'm a sloppy inker, I know that. But do you know what I'm saying? And I think that helps so much, because when I was trying to check out Ryan Otley and understand what he was doing, that's where I picked up some of this stuff. I'm not trying to say I'm even close to his quality at all. That's not it. It's the principles of the why. A lot of it makes a lot of sense even when you're working in the thumbnail level. So it's like you're working big and then you refine it to the tight lines, right? When we're doing the Freddy method, it's which I call that. You guys already know this method. If you don't ask me, I can tell you about it. But you work in those blobby shapes like a thumbnail or like a loose sketch, and then you put that micron, that tight line over top. Then your art's done, and then you start putting the line weights and the shadows all at the same time. To me, what I'm noticing is like it'll always do the job. You'll always get a great result that way. But what I'm finding is, especially if I want to add this like, inky kind of feel to it, what it's missing is it's almost counterintuitive. It's a great way to work digital when you're trying to learn. But when you're creating a finished piece, I find it's counterintuitive. It's almost like get the blobby thumbnail, tighten it up. I understand getting that micron so that it's still, okay, now it's like a tightened piece. But then go back and put sloppy shadows on there, like where the heaviest shadows should be. Then go ahead and start refining from there, right? So it's always starting from rough to tight. So you do the, I'm going to repeat it one more time. You do the blobby thumbnail, and then you're going to refine it to a micron, 3 pixel tight piece. Then you're going to go blobby again from like where the heaviest inks are in shadows all the way up to like final rendering. And what I notice is like it actually speeds things up, at least for me. But there's a definitely a learning curve in there. For me anyway, there was when I was going in there. I'm like, but it looks so sloppy. It looks so sloppy. And like I'll even do like this cheesy stuff that I saw Otley do that, and I think I saw Freddie do it too. It's like I wouldn't normally render this way. Normally, I'm much in line with doing like the Finch style render. Or I'll call it the Finch style rendering. Let me just get a brush. I've showed you guys before, where it's like that. Let me turn this layer off first and do it right. So it's like, let's say I was going to do this shape. Maybe I don't know if we'll do it here, but you're doing your thin to thick stuff. Right, if you wanted to like carry it out, and then if you wanted to go. Like there's that rendering, like the Finchy stuff. And it always looks good. It just takes too long for me. That's why I'm just like, I don't care. Like I used to care about this stuff. Maybe it depends on the piece. Maybe I'm going the wrong way there. Follow the form. But anyway, this is like your old, I don't know, whatever. Doesn't matter, right? So you can get all your rendering in there. And it looks fine. There's nothing wrong with it. Cool. But when you're trying to work fast, and it looks like I'm working fast too, it's not great. Where did I have it? I think I just grabbed a micron that's like size 6. Yeah. Let me turn that stabilization way down because I want that organicness, right? Like right in here. You just do like this. Maybe I'll start over here, right? You're just doing this shape. That's all you're doing. Like a 2-year-old or a 4-year-old would draw waves, And you just kind of start out there, and I'm going to go in here. Cool. Look at that. What you don't get, though, is like those cool, like where it really starts getting into that fancy rendering. It's just more like sinew. You know what I mean? You just put it places. Doesn't matter. Cool. But it just gives it like a little extra. That's all it is, right? Like I put it all over the place. Honestly, it doesn't matter because, like I say, once we get into coloring, like look, man, like shadow's covering so much of that. It's there. You can feel it, but it's not. And then I'm also going to like put a layer over top, right? To like change the color of the line art and some of it to like pull some of that back. So it's like if you know where you're going and how much work you're doing, I guess it kind of influences the decisions you'll make along the way. Session 0, make your own location counters. I printed mine, use glue stick to glue them down to chipboard. Oh. Interesting. I want to, dude, like, is there a way you can send me pictures of your of your setup? I just like seeing like cheap solutions to this stuff. I'd rather spend money on content, right, for the game. Don't get me wrong. Like on Champs, I got some stuff I like. I bought some stuff like the burger tokens and what are these called? Let me grab it. Oh yeah, check it out, guys. Here, check it out. So this is when we're playing Champs. Like I don't know how much this is going to show up on that webcam because it's so far away. But one of those playmats was printed out. Turned out really cool. I get to play on that. It's always fun drawing on your own stuff. But this stuff here, let me see if I can get it. I forget what they're called. It's a little dusty, but I use this too when we're playing most of my card games, Arkham or whatever. What are they called again? Uber stacks. Yeah, you can like build them up any way you want. That way you can just lay things on top. So it's like stuff like this. I think it's like it helps the experience of the game. So like when I see those, man, this chair is awful, huh? What are they called? Those connectors from like Etsy, and they look really sharp. Like really nice. You're like, it just sometimes that tactile feel definitely affects how a game can in your mind, like you just sit down and you play. But then, now we're just romanticizing some crap that doesn't matter. Because at the end of the day, you're 100% right. Just use chipboard. But anyway, yeah, I was asking, I'm like, I would love to see some sort of, again, solo players are like where I'm at. I just like, here we go, playing with myself. Like, don't get me wrong, playing with other people, great. Uh, it's just that waiting to be able to play with other people that it's like, nah, well, that sucks. I want to play now because I got free time. So nowadays, it's like any game I get, if I can't play solo, I probably don't even consider it. If I'm able to play with people, even better. But like if I can't play the game or the thing I want when I have the time to play it, it's like I can't. Even though there's some really slick games, I got a coworker. He's into board games. I think I might even give it to him that he kind of got me back into it because I wouldn't. I knew he played board games and stuff like that, and it was like, okay, I'm not a huge board game player. I used to be when I was a kid. It was, I mean, when you're a kid, there's different things that are just so fun, and I was like, yeah, these are cool. But again, even when I was a kid, it was always like, hey, does anybody want to play Monopoly? I know now what it's like. If I'm assuming when my son eventually asks me to play some game, I'm like, I hope I'm not tired, man. Like I get it, and I like it. I like games. So anyway, now it's like if I can play when I want to play, great. It just helps. That's why even the solo role playing has helped me so much. Man, like I got into solo, I would say board gaming again because it's fun. Like a lot of the games, I'm glad I started it because I found a game called Mage Knight, which now is probably my most favorite solo. My one of my most favorite games ever. I don't really have a lot of time to play it anymore, but when I have 3 to 4 hours by myself and I'm in the mood, God, nothing is better than that game, in my opinion. So that's sick. But if I had found solo board or RPGs earlier, I don't think I would have spent as much money on all the board games that I had. There's something magic about like solo, and I didn't even really play a lot of Dungeons and Dragons and stuff like that. And by the way, guys, anybody that's in here, if you guys are just interested in checking out solo stuff, go check out Session Zero's channel. That's where I met him. It's wild that he's actually in here right now because it's like intermingling two different things, right? Like I'm streaming comics and art, and he's coming from my private world, you know, solo RPG. He plays a game. I don't know. Again, there might be RPG heads in here. I don't know. Dungeon World. I actually found Dungeon World through Ironsworn of all things. Ironsworn's really killer stuff. Dungeon World. I'm still trying to get. I don't want to say better at, but find ways of playing it more. Because a lot of these solo role playing games, to me, again, it still follows the same kind of mantra as like Marvel Champions or solo board games. Like it's got to be easy to pick up and play. And most of these solo RPGs are that. I don't like playing with. I mean, if I went to somebody's house and they had models and stuff set up, with lighting effects or what, you want to go to the nines, like that's cool stuff. I think I don't know. I haven't actually experienced that. I just assume it would be. But when I'm playing at home, it's like no, it's the story. The story and the decisions and stuff like that. And just being able to play theater of the mind, it's called. Where it's, I guess it might sound a little weird, but I think it's just something people need to try out. It's been phenomenal. It's a great way for me as somebody that likes to do story or enjoys parts of storytelling, to just still excite that part of my brain without having to make comics. Like when we were doing Jessup King and stuff, I love it. It gives me something. I think I'm like a lot of you guys too, where you have a lot of ideas, maybe not a lot of time, or it's a lot of energy to turn an idea into like a product or something, right? Absolutely. But that's where the solo RPG stuff has just been sweet because it's like it's been a double-edged sword, I'll say, because it's sweet because it gives me the outlet to get those ideas out of my head, but at the same time, what it's preventing me from doing is making anything that other people that might be interested in it. Like when you make a comic, it's so that other people could read it usually and enjoy it, and it's preventing me from making things, which old John would be pretty much against. Old John would definitely be like, no, 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 you gotta make stuff and share it with the world. That's the point. That's what you have to do. But we don't do that anymore. All right, let's go over here. We're gonna grab, grab you. I think we'll go with the, I don't know. Go with this one. All right, how did I have the shadow here? All right, so sometimes it's nice to have, like, I like to just be able to put the shading in just flat, but sometimes this layer definitely helps, right? Because what I was saying is, you see how this is fading down the cheekbone? It would probably look good if we put a little bit of shadow there. Whereas if I had it like this, I don't think I would have actually considered putting it there. Cast shadow, since we're putting a cast shadow on his head, it probably makes sense to oops. Put a cast shadow on his nose. Put it on his teeth, maybe? Sure. Sure. Actually, let me turn this off so I can see a little bit. I want to really make this chin, you know, one of those thick boys. Something like that. The thing is, like I said before, I know, like, you see it's kind of getting lost. This is going to get, like, put down to, like, here, so you'll be able to see that shadow stuff a little bit better. It's just good to have that on right now, so I can kind of see what's going on. Whoops. Colored on the wrong layer. Let's get some rankles in there. Hmm. I just wanted to look like obviously a little crazy. Yeah. It's funny, man, how much shadow can just change what you're doing, right? Like, you turn that off, yeah, he's whatever. Just really start popping these brows on him. You're gonna really make that thicker. So stupid. This stuff's fun. Alright, let's turn this off now so I can see it. Maybe just pull some of this back to get some texture in there. let's do that Osborne here. Sure, works for me. Okay, how's the rest of them looking? Now we got to go over here and do that arm. A little shadow there just to pop that off a bit. A little texture on the shirt. Let's go here. Yeah, that looks good. Yeah. So what do we got left here? Just this arm here, huh? Right, let's grab our lasso. Let me 1 second here, boys. I'm just gonna put on a little background music for myself. Again, I don't know what I can put on YouTube anymore. So I apologize. There's never any music outside of the intro song. Definitely goes into I'm not on here long enough, or I haven't been on streaming consistently enough to like know the ins and outs, or to find actually if music matters. I don't know. Let's put on some Pussifer. Woo! You guys, anybody here listen to Pussifer? Put some of that bad boy on. Turn that down a little bit. We'll start with here, I think. I sent you an email with some pictures. Oh, dude, thanks. Appreciate that, man. Oh, thank you for the open invite, brother. I do appreciate it, and thanks again for taking the time to make those actual play videos. I can't imagine the amount of work it takes to edit that kind of stuff. So, thank you. I really do appreciate it, man. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks for coming in to say hello. El Santa, welcome, brother. I love your work. Thanks. Hey, yeah, no problem, man. Glad to help any way I can. I'll throw this out here too, because I know, you know, as people come and go. Man, I'm getting empty on a coffee. This ain't good. Coffee number 2, by the way. It's like, bad habits. Every time I would come to stream, back when we were doing those solid, you know, Jessup King hour-long. Hey, I'm gonna be on here for eight hours. That's that nut stuff. Like I was going through like maybe 2 pots of coffee. Woo! But anyway, I just sucked back that last one, and number 3, sounds really good, but maybe we shouldn't. Maybe we should just get water instead. Anyway, thank you. But anybody ever, if you guys ever have any questions or comments of like you guys need help with something art wise, just throw it out in the chat and ask. I'll do my best to answer them. I know Darren asked earlier about critiques, and I said no. But even if you have a question, you can always ask, because sometimes it could be an easy example. A critique is a little different. A critique is a little more intensive. Yeah, I can always reach out to you guys too if you guys need help. So let me know. Let me know. Thanks, man. I do appreciate it. Put some shadow under here to make it look like it's folding up a bit. Just paint in some more light here. Give it some texture. The thing is, I'm pretty sure what we're gonna do. I've talked about this before. Of like, okay, so I'm adding like a second layer of shadow, which is normally I'd be like, let's not do that. It's just adding time to something that generally doesn't matter. But since I've been doing the highlight layer lately, where I showed you guys with Sabretooth, where we just put like a quick whatever on there. Let me open up again. Examples I think help. So I don't do it often, and I think this should end up looking better than this one. Try to get a little better every time. But you see what we got, like, okay, this white obviously coming from his gauntlet, like on Thanos here. You got to get that hot light. But I didn't do it here. Again, because it takes a little bit of time. However, like if we go add glow, let me just grab this. I'm just going to do a simple one here. Because it doesn't take too much. It's just an extra step. So sometimes, it takes... It's an extra step, so it's going to add time no matter what you do. Got it, right? And sometimes it's just extra polish that does separate it, from like just looking like whatever. But I don't think you always need to do it. Is what I'm getting at. But anyway, so you got a bounce light. Like if we lower it down a little bit, and we'll just change the color. I don't know, blue probably works well. Maybe if I can find it. Let's just punch this all up so I can see what color we're working with. Blue, where are you? Right here, I guess. Oh, that's no. All right, so let's say, I guess it's such a weird looking blue, but you kind of have that. You drop the opacity a bit. And we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna grab that soft eraser just to push some of it back. Oops, that's a little much. Just so it's not so garish, but like it helps, right? Because might not be a great example, but it just rounds form, right? Which is really good. If you look at this one, there's a lot of shadow that I'm pushing. That's one thing I noticed too when I'm working this way. When I work with shadow and then cut light out, it tends to be more dark. I haven't even talked about what we're going to do with the background yet, but I think it'll play really nicely, that bounce light, like especially for Sabretooth, like in this palm of his hand, especially right here for Sandman, and even down here, just having that secondary reflected light. But we'll see. You might not even need it once we put the highlights in here, Oops. do. Okay, I think he's... Sure. Okay, so we'll say he's done. Okay, we're going to duplicate that layer, multiply it. And then again, what we're going to do is like what we did with Sabretooth, just one pass of like secondary shadow. It's not... It's like detail work, I guess. I don't know how else to explain it. It's like wherever the darkest areas are is what we're worried about. So like, you know, whatever the darkest areas are. And sorry if I'm screaming here. I got the music blasting. Not it's the idea in my head is it's always the darkest areas ish, but like whatever is cool too. Cool always do what's cool to you. Unless you're going for pure realism, and then I don't know. Pure realism's like why, I guess. I don't know. But anyway, do what you like. Just trying to put just a couple here just to draw focus of the face there. Alright, it's saying YouTube's getting buffering issues, so apologize if the slideshow right now. See how that looks. Give these guys a little bit darker of a core shadow here, so they're actually standing here. All right, cats. I think. Let me just turn this off here. I feel like once I start turning music on, I just I shut down and I get right into it. I don't engage with you guys. But I'm gonna start wrapping this up in about 10 minutes. So if you guys had any questions or anything you need help with, feel free to jam in the chat. And I will do my best to help you guys out. This last little pocket here before we say bye bye. Not sure. I like. Do you guys? I'm just streaming so random these days. So like, thank you anybody that even popped in. I do appreciate that. I would like to be able to set some sort of schedule up with you guys, but it changes all the like when I have time to draw. Like on my days off, I usually draw. Or in Canada right now, it's Thanksgiving, but we celebrated yesterday and stuff, so I'm able to work today. But when I'm normally working on my days off or whatever, it's like I don't necessarily know. I have an idea of what I'll be working on, right? So it's like some of it's appropriate for streaming and some of it's not. Not that the content's, look at this, like drawing some nudies and stuff, but sometimes it's clients they don't want the stuff shown, or it's you know pre-development work where I just need to be headphones in and just serious thought and yada yada. This right here, this is the fun stuff. Just turn the brain off, say hi to everybody, and just have a good time. It's kind of autopilot kind of stuff. Does that help the hand? Yeah. Cool. Let me turn that on. I want to see if that helps. Yeah, that's all right. I might have to change some of like their skin color and stuff. We'll play around with the color. I still have to change the color of the shadows too, man. Like, how do we? Let me see if I can do this real quick. Even on Sabertooth, if we go layer, new correction, hue. So yeah, I'm gonna merge it here. I don't know if this will work. I think it should work. No, okay, hold on. Hold on. I think I still have something selected. So layer, hue, saturation, cool. There we go. I think that'll work. So, like I said, the color doesn't matter. We got purple in here, but You know, you can change that shadow color to anything. Usually, I feel like blue these days is pretty good. But when you go into the purples and the pinks and the warm colors, you kind of get more range. But cool shadows, you know, you could pump up that saturation. Pump the jam, pump it up. Kind of know, it gives it like a different feel. Pink and purple, it's always a classic. I just feel like the purple and pink doesn't really print the same. That's my fault though, because I'm not coloring in CMYK. I'm coloring in RGB. But even the red looks. I don't know. We have to pick out what we're gonna do for the background because that affects a lot of this stuff too. We don't even have the highlights on here. Yada yada. Right? Lots of fun stuff. Did you get that new Cintiq? I did a preview vid on it. Wacom's positive review program. They told me the tablets were being shipped back damaged. Oh man, I don't know what that is. Trying to get my hands on it. So what happened? I'm not sure where I left off with conversations and stuff, so I apologize. But I had the Cintiq 21UX, the square, with the buttons on the side, and it could pivot and squivel and quivel, and you know, I love that machine, man. It was great. What happened to it? Something broke with it though. I think it was okay. So I needed in order to plug it in, I think it had a DVI cable or a VGA, it doesn't matter. I had that connected into something that converted it into an HDMI so that I could plug it in my computer. But that thing was like loosey-goosey. Anyway, the thing busted off. So I'd replace that, but I don't know if a cable got pinched or like just the fact that that broke it off. I don't even know. Like this just sounds like I'm making it up, but something happened where the screen was just jacked after that, and I couldn't fix it. So again, being very fortunate at work, they since we all work at home now, they paid for a new one for me. So I got, and I don't even know if this is mine. I don't think it is. I think it's like if I move on, I could keep it to do this work. It doesn't matter. If I leave the company, like okay, here you go, you can have that, or maybe it'll be one of those things where it's I don't know if I leave at all, but like I can pay them out to buy. I don't know. So right now it's like this gray area, but I'm free to use it as I wish. Just take care of it as if it were mine, right? That kind of thing. And what I have right now, it's a Cintiq 22. So what's cool is it's widescreen. What's really cool is the color I see here is what the color is when I generally post it everywhere. The old Cintiq, the 21, it wasn't HD, right? So the colors were a little off. So I was usually what I would do is when I would color, I would have a second monitor with that image on there so that I could bounce back and forth. So this makes work a whole lot better. What I don't like about it though, and what I miss, honestly, I miss a lot, is the keys on the side, man. Like I have, it's like that remote, and I do use it, but it's not. I miss it, man. Like working on the old Cintiq where the buttons are here. I can comfortably hold my machine. I feel like I can grab it, which is cool. You know, I got the keyboard, which I don't want to use a keyboard, but you know, it works. But just being able to click here and do all this stuff, it was to me so much faster. And this model isn't magnetic or anything. I've seen some of these bigger ones where you can get that express key thing and just stick it on, I believe. But I don't know how that feels. I'm not sure. I much more prefer the older models. But this does everything I needed to do. It does like I wouldn't. I don't know who's listening to this part, but like my old one, I don't notice any lag or anything different. It's all the same. The output is the same. It's a Cintiq. It's a tablet. This, in my opinion, this is what you always have to get used to, no matter what you work on. Depending on the tip, if you're used to like Huions and stuff, like they feel different. It's all the same. It's all the same. Some have different pressure sensitivity, but you can adjust all of that stuff, and you have to learn how to manipulate and work with the tool, right? To this day, I still can't get a nice pressure sensitivity that I like. I just feel like either I have to kill my wrist or the brush is just whatever. So that part doesn't necessarily matter. Yeah, the other I think this is 1500, but I'm more than sure that's U.S. right? So it's a lot. 27-inch, God, it's huge, man. That's a big boy. I wouldn't even have room for that. Right now, I've got it on. I don't even know if you guys can see it. I got one of those ergotrons on there, so you know I could draw like this. You guys can't see me, which is great. Sometimes all that shaking kind of sucks, so you kind of have to hold it sometimes. But I usually just pop her down here. Not a big deal. And then I have I've always had I've had a standing desk for a while, so you know I'm not sitting all the time, even though I really should be standing more. Anyway, thank you guys for stopping in, and appreciate a little chat at the bottom. You can't do art tablet reviews. Yeah, I always wondered about that. It is a niche audience, right? I also find too, and I could be absolutely wrong on this. I find that most people that are looking to go like, which tablet should I get? Like, um, whether it's a screen tablet or like the drawing tablet, people that are shopping around, I find generally are students or younger people that I don't know who. Not many of us have disposable income, but like the more I'll say professional, not even professional, because that part really doesn't matter. People are using iPad Pros, which are still pricey, but like you could just use that. Anyway, I just feel like Cintiq has just nailed itself so far. Still to this day, is like that's the professional thing. Like that's what professionals use. Yada yada. Um, I've used a couple. I've used a Huion. I use a Wacom. I've used an iPad Pro. I've used the Windows. What do they even call that? The Surface, and one other unnamed brand, or I don't even call them a no name brand, but another one. I can't remember the name of that one. And to me, Cintiq is still the way to go. It's just sometimes it's nice to have thin things, you know, small, compact, modern. But like with Cintiqs, it's like this is like a cow. It's a beast. Like it's a chunky, heavy thing. I like that. It just feels more sturdy. Even though it's just a screen. I don't even know. I don't want to get into a whole talk about this. You know what I mean? Just whatever. And I've said this before too. If all you can afford is a cheaper option, God bless, get that thing, um, and get comfortable with it. My thing is always like once you try a Wacom or a Cintiq, usually I feel like people prefer it. But if you've never experienced it, uh, don't go in debt to do that. Just get what you can afford and get comfortable with that, and you'll be fine. Personally, once I had a Cintiq, when I tried going on back with that Huion that I had, the monitor was amazing, way better than even this one. This monitor on this Cintiq, the Huion one I had was to me better. The color, everything was it's such a beautiful screen. But I couldn't get past this because I'm so used to using Cintiq stuff or Wacom stuff that it was just like, God, I don't like the squeak, like, all these little nitpicky things that honestly really don't matter. But you know, if you can't afford it, don't even worry about it. Just stick with what you can afford and get used to that and get comfortable, and you'll be fine. You know what I mean? It's not the tool helps, but it's not the tool, right? Like you got to use how to just get used to it. Same with software. You know, some people prefer Photoshop still over Clip Studio, right? So it's all that kind of thing. See, yeah, Chris is a great example, right? Use what you got, and you'll be fine. Okay, guys, thank you so much. As usual, it's always a pleasure talking to you guys, and I really do appreciate you guys coming in and listening to me ramble and asking questions. It helps the work go by quicker. And I hope some of the stuff you guys saw today, if you're coloring, I don't know how many of you cats color in here, if most of you guys are just inkers and stuff, but maybe you learned something from it. Uh, I'll say it again. I'll try to do more videos. Really, you know what I mean? Just recording some stuff. I don't know. We'll see. Times are so different right now with what we're working on and stuff. But anyway, I appreciate you guys. Take care. Whatever you're working on, keep working on it. I hope it's working out. And I will see you whenever the next stream or video is. I'm sorry. Maybe it'll be before Christmas. Maybe. I don't know. See you guys. Take care. Bye bye.